You will get sued. You get sued. Whether you're right or wrong, you will get sued. Those were the first words that my supervising physician told me on my very first day at my big girl PA job. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? He smiled and he said, that's why you never practice medicine without malpractice insurance. Because you see, the odds of you getting sued are pretty high. It's 68% high. That's because 68% of clinicians will actually face a lawsuit at least once in their career. Whether you're a PA, MD, or NP, or DO, you will get sued. That's just the way of life. So you have to accept the fact and not be afraid of a lawsuit. Most of us, we're just terrified. Oh my God, I'm gonna make a mistake. Oh my God, I'm gonna kill somebody. I'm gonna get sued. But the reality is you probably will get sued, whether you're right or wrong. Don't let the fear of a lawsuit impact the way you practice medicine. So now let's assume that you are part of that 68% and that one day this dreadful lawsuit is gonna come knocking on your door. You want to be protected, right? Because you wouldn't want to practice medicine without insurance, just like you wouldn't want to drive without car insurance. Same exact thing. So don't practice medicine without malpractice coverage. Now, there are two types of malpractice insurance you need to know: claims-made policy and occurrence-made policy. Let's start with claims-made policy. This is the most common option for most clinicians. Most employers offer this policy because, well, it's the cheaper option and they want to save a few dollars. A claims-made policy is a coverage that covers you if the incident and the lawsuit happens while your policy is active. This means if your policy ended and the patient sues you later, then you have actually no malpractice coverage. So what does this mean? Let's break it down. Here's an example. You accidentally gave a patient a wrong medication on September of 2024. They suffered some adverse effect and have in the ICU for 4 months, and you felt really traumatized by this event. So you just quit your job in, let's say, November. So 4 months later, you quit your job. Now, obviously, your claims-made insurance policy will end, because why would your employer pay for your insurance policy if you stop working for them? So as of September, or as of November, when you quit your job, that policy ended. You have no more coverage. Now, let's say a month later in December, that patient decides to file a lawsuit against you. Now, remember, you are no longer working for this previous company. Now, maybe you've got a new job and you started a new job and you have coverage for this new job. But because you no longer have active malpractice coverage from your previous job, you have no coverage, which means you're responsible for all the legal bills. And I don't know if you know anything about malpractice lawsuits. They're really expensive. So that means you're going to be in trouble because the patient filed a lawsuit against you when you quit that job. So now you have no coverage. But hey, there is a catch. If your employer offers you a claims-made policy, then you want to make sure you have what's called a tail coverage, tail insurance. Tail insurance extends your coverage after you leave your 9 to 5, after you leave your job. It's like buying extra coverage like over time. So in this example, let's say your employer provides you tail insurance from December 2024 all the way through December 2026, which is 2 years. So now you're covered because even though you left the job and that patient still give you a lawsuit, you have coverage for the next 2 years. But if you didn't have that tail coverage, you would be paying all those legal bills yourself. So the pro tip here obviously is always get tail insurance. And most of the time tail insurance is needed for 1 to 3 years. And this really depends on your state's statute of limitation for lawsuits. So for example, in California, the statute of limitation is 3 years. So you'll need 3 years of tail coverage, meaning that if the patient had an incident, had an event, had some major adverse reaction, they have 3 years from the date the incident happened to sue you. But in Ohio, it's different. Ohio, the statute of limitation is only 1 year. So 1 year of tail coverage is all you need. Meaning if your patient decides to sue you 2 years after that initial incident, they can't because in Ohio law, it doesn't work. So you have to get tail insurance based on where you live, based on the state statute of limitation. And every state is different. So research it. And when you get that new job offer and they offer you malpractice insurance, check it out. Ask them, do you cover claims-made policy? And if so, do you offer a tail coverage? Again, tail coverage is very important because what happens when you don't have tail coverage? Then you'll have to pay for tail coverage yourself. And that's pretty expensive. That's a few $1,000s every single month. You don't want to carry that tail coverage for an extra 2 or 3 years. Now, let's talk about occurrence-made policy. This is like a Lamborghini of malpractice insurance. With an occurrence-made policy, it doesn't matter when the patient sue you, whether it's 6 months or 2 years later, you're covered. It's like having lifetime protection. You're golden no matter what. No matter what, you're covered. Doesn't matter if they sue you now, tomorrow, or next year, you're covered. So that's a really great policy. The only downside, it's expensive. So most employers don't pay for it. That's why they go for a claims-made policy. But some employers, they'll actually go for an occurrence-made policy. And if that's great, that's good for you. Now, let's say you've established that you do in fact have malpractice insurance, whether it's claims-made or occurrence-made. Now you want to know is the insurance coverage limits, is it good enough for me? Meaning, does the coverage cover everything? Now there are 2 numbers you want to look at. It's per claim and then per year. Let's start with per claim. Now, the typical number per claim is around $1 million. So $1 million per claim. That means that is the maximum amount of money that insurance company will pay you for a single lawsuit. So if Susie here sues you and she sues you for, $6 million, the insurance company will only cover $1 million and the rest is on you. Now, let's say she sues you for $500,000 and the insurance covers $1 million. That's great. That's for 1 lawsuit. So that's $1 million per lawsuit. Pretty standard. Now, the other number you want to consider is per year. Now, the per year claim is typically anywhere from 3 to 4 million. This is a total amount the insurance company will pay for all the claims made during that year. Let's say you get sued twice. You're unlucky, or maybe you're just a bad PA. You get sued by Susie and by Amber, right? Now, if Susie sues you for 3 million and Amber sues you for 1 million, that's 4 million. That's per year. And the insurance will cover it. That's great. But if she sues you for 4 million and she also sues you for 4 million, that's 8 million. That means if your coverage policy is only 4 million, then you have to pay out the 4 other million yourself. So typically the standard is 1 to 4. 1 per claim and then 4 per year. Now in other industries like OBGYN, surgery, trauma, where they're really high risk, those numbers might be higher. It could be 1 to 6 or 1 to 8. So 1 million per claim and maybe 8 million or 6 million per year. So you want to have the standards like 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. That's a good number. So 1 million per claim and then 3 million per year. That's pretty standard. So now you understand why malpractice insurance isn't optional, it's mandatory. So the bottom line is this, you should always have malpractice insurance. It's mandatory, it's not optional. Whether you have claims-made policy or occurrence-made policy, just read the fine print. Make sure that the bare minimum coverage you have is a claims-made with tail. If your employer does not offer tail, again, you should pay for yourself. But you should always negotiate that into your salary, into your contract. Ask your employer to pay for your tail coverage. You want tail coverage. And if you have occurrence-made policy, you're golden. So again, one more time, do not practice medicine without malpractice coverage. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and give me some comments. Let me know what your thoughts, and I will chat with you in the next video. Bye guys.